We're going to talk very briefly about euphemisms. Euphemisms are those words that we atheists use instead of calling ourselves atheists. I talked before about quantitative data. I'm going to show you some data today. Now, it is American-centric data, but you're going to be able to see the point. Atheist is, of course, the broadest term. It means without a belief in a deity. It does not mean you're absolutely sure there isn't a God. It doesn't mean you know everything in the universe. It means you are without a belief in a deity. If you don't have a belief in a deity, you're an atheist. If you don't have a belief in a deity, but you think the universe is unknowable, you're an atheist. If you don't have a belief in a deity, but you like some of the secular trappings of the religion in which you were born, you're an atheist. If you don't have a belief in a God, and you absolutely positively hate the word atheist, too bad you're still an atheist. We need to own that word. Atheist answers the question about religion. I treat people nicely is not the answer to what is your religion. So many people I know, the atheists, they puff out their chest and they call themselves humanists. They say, I call myself a humanist because I don't like to tell people what I don't do. I like to tell people what I do believe. And guess what? That's crap. Now, my friend Michael is sitting in the front seat, in the front row. Michael's a vegan, right? Okay. Now, if I go up to Michael and I say, Michael, what kind of meat do you eat? He's going to say, well, let's pretend he doesn't. Let's say I ask Michael what kind of meat he eats, and he puffs out his chest, and he says, I like to eat salad. I say, Michael, why don't you just say you're a vegan and you don't eat meat? And he says, well, I don't like to tell people what I don't eat. I like to tell people what I do eat. That's crap, right? That's Michael avoiding the question. That's Michael hiding. That's him pretending he's answering the question when he's not. If somebody asks you what your religion is, they're asking what your belief in God is about God. They're not asking you if you like to treat people nicely. Humanism is about treating people nicely. But when somebody asks you what your religion is, don't say you like salad. Tell them you're an atheist because, again, that is telling the truth. When you sidestep the question, you're not communicating. You're pretending to communicate and patting yourself on the back for being clever. You're not clever, and you're not honest when you do it. Now, I'm going to bring up this chart. I'm going to go through it really quickly, but I really want you to see this. It may be the most important chart I show you tonight. Again, this is American-centric data. Atheist is understood by 90% of the American population. 90%. That means if you tell somebody you're an atheist, you have a 90% chance of being functionally understood. That's great. That's communication. If you want to use a different term, like agnostic, you've got a 50-50 chance of being misunderstood. A 50% chance of being misunderstood. Now, before I go off onto the rest of those numbers, I want to show you something. This is a bottle of water. Ooh. I just drank this water. Nina gave me this water. Thank you, Nina. I drink this water. I'm holding this water. I know what a bottle of water looks like. I'm sure that this is a bottle of water. Are you all sure that this is a bottle of water? Yes. But folks, nobody in this room knows everything in the universe. You can't actually be sure this is a bottle of water. This may be God cleverly disguised as a bottle of water. You can't prove it's not true. You can't prove it's not true. This is a very important point, because we use the word sure, definite, and certain all the time. And none of the times when we use those words do we know everything in the universe. We only use the word agnostic when it comes to religion. And we justify using that word because we don't know everything in the universe. But we only use that justification with religion. That is us elevating religion above fact. When an atheist says, I'm an agnostic because I'm not sure, there's probably no God, they are elevating the man in the sky above this bottle of water, above everything else that we know for sure, everything that it is for sure. Do I ever say, I think I'm David Silverman, but I don't know everything in the universe, so I'm not sure? No. This is definitely a bottle of water, and I'm definitely David Silverman, and we're definitely in Poland. And you know what? If I wake up tomorrow and I'm a brain in a vat in a spaceship, and The Matrix is a documentary, it's a true story, I'll change my perspective on the world. But until then, until Santa Claus lands on my roof, and I get to check him out and measure it, fiction is fiction. And so I hope nobody ever uses the word agnostic. When we atheists use the word agnostic, we are elevating religion. Why are we doing that? Because religion told us to. Because so many times, we atheists, we dismiss the God without dismissing the rest of the dogma, the rest of the indoctrination that we have received as children. The idea that religion needs protection. The idea that religion is good in any way, shape, or form. The idea that it's bad to say religion is definitely wrong when it is just as definitely wrong as Santa Claus on the roof. We need to own how right we are. And we need to own that when we use the word agnostic, we are yielding to religion. We are implying doubt. And we have a 50% chance of being completely misunderstood in the first place. 50%, ladies and gentlemen, that's bad. If you're talking to somebody and you've got a 50% chance of being misunderstood, you are communicating poorly. But you're not communicating as poorly as you would if you were to use the word secular. In America, 30% of the population understands what the word secular means. We had a contest. Another organization, not American Atheists, had a contest last year. It was called Openly Secular Day. It wasn't a contest, it was an event. Openly Secular Day. That's when they had everybody writing in, I'm John, and I'm secular. And we had people writing in, I'm a Christian, and I'm secular. No, you're not. Secular and secularist are two different words. And in America, nobody knows the difference. But they used openly secular. Why would they use the word openly secular instead of openly atheist? Because secular is a more acceptable term. Why is it a more acceptable term? Because 70% of the population doesn't know what it means. That's why the terms are more acceptable, ladies and gentlemen. What are the most acceptable terms for atheists? What are the most acceptable terms for atheists in American culture? You got it. Humanist and freethinker. You're a humanist and freethinker, you have a 90% chance of being misunderstood. A 90% chance. So when people say, oh, I like to use those nice terms, they're nicer, people like them better, that's because people don't know what you're saying. That's because people don't like atheism. It's not like they know what those words are. If you're talking and you're using a term that has a 90% chance of being misunderstood, you are not communicating. You are pretending to communicate and patting yourself on the back. Don't lie, folks. Don't miscommunicate, and don't be afraid to use the word that communicates the truth, that gods are false and that you don't have a belief in a God. And that's why you use the word that's known by everybody. These terms are used by religion to imply doubt. Before I leave this chart, I will tell you one more anecdote. About 3 months ago, I gave a presentation, this presentation, in California. And we had a protester outside. Please get this, folks. We had a protester outside our atheist meeting. It was a free thought meeting, not an atheist meeting, a free thought meeting. We had a protester outside handing out pamphlets about Jesus. And that man called himself a freethinker. We need to understand this, folks. The other side uses the same words. The other side uses the same words. If you call yourself a freethinker, you've got a really good chance that a Christian will think you're a Christian, because they call themselves freethinkers too. This is not communicating. This is failing to communicate.